Hey guys, bear with me for a while. We're going to show you guys how to fix your air boxes once they go bad and start leaking on you. Basically, there's only two ways these boxes are going to leak. They're going to leak the entire time, so when you walk up on it, you're just going to hear air leaking from the box. Another way it's going to leak is when you fill it only. One is atmosphere, that's when it's leaking all the time. The other is just when it leaks when you try to use it. And we're going to show you how to fix both problems. And all you're going to need are these two O-rings. Alright guys, first thing you're going to need to do is obviously you want to take off the whip. So just take your whip off, lay it around close to you. Next thing you're going to want to do is take off the handle. You're going to have to reach in with a small pair of vice grips, grab the base stem of the handle, lock it in place, and you should be able to unscrew the handle fairly easy. Some of them, the handles are different, but they all remove the same way. Once you get your handle out, you're going to flip it over upside down, and you're going to remove the valve. This is the valve we're trying to fix in here. So we're going to remove the air that leads out to the whip, and we're also going to want to remove the valve here where it's held on to our machine, or to the base, and where the air actually comes in. So you're going to want to find, some of these are metal lines and some of these are hose. Each one will just require a different size of crescent wrench. Always loosen the air line leading out to the fill first. Then you want to go back and remove the nut holding the valve actually to our base here. And usually this one's always going to be an 11/16 crescent wrench. Once you get this loose, don't take it off all the way. Now you're going to go back up to where we removed the handle and take the big nut off the top. That's right, the big nut off the top that actually holds the valve in place. And for that, I suggest using a pair of adjustable channel locks here. It's a lot easier than a big adjustable wrench, because sometimes the wrench won't fit in here. Alright, you want to loosen it, take it out. I always set it right next to the whip. Now you want to go back and take your nut and washer off. Always put it where you put your other stuff. Now you can see up in here the valve will just slide out. And here's your valve. Now we're going to show you how to take the valve apart and actually replace the two O-rings. Alright, what you're going to do guys is you're going to take your valve here. You're going to need a vise. Very hard to do if you do not have a vise, if next to impossible, unless you got the Kung Fu grip. Alright, you're going to take your valve, put it upside down, try not to vise it in on the information here. You just want to vise it in fairly snug. And now's the time you want to get a big adjustable wrench, or if you're strong enough you can use your channel locks. In this case I'm going to try it with the channel locks. Alright. You're going to loosen it up and be real careful. So as you tilt it up, you're going to see here real quick, if I can get you're going to see here real quick where one of the larger O-rings are. And this particular case, this is the O-ring that causes the box to leak only when you're filling it. And you can see right here where the O-ring is damaged when I'm trying to take it out. You can see it's deteriorating and where it's practically broken in half here. This is why this box was leaking when you fill. Also, while you've already taken the valve apart, you want to get a 5/8 crescent wrench, preferably a 5/8 socket, because the socket can fit over and you can take it off without damaging the sides of it. But right now all I have is a 5/8 crescent, so I'm going to try to take it off. You're just going to place it over it and unscrew, and this should just come out fairly easy. And here now is the other O-ring that can leak on you. If your box leaks all the time, whether you're filling or not, it's just continually leaking, this smaller O-ring is the one you want to replace. In this particular case, this one's not damaged, but we're going to go ahead and remove it just so everybody can see how it's done. Fairly easy to come off. Usually they're torn or destroyed. In this case, we'll just break it. Alright, all you're going to do is take your new O-ring. Some of them are fairly tight. You just want to have to work it with your fingers up to the top. I like to try to just roll it on there, groove by groove. Help using your fingernails if you have them. For those of you guys who bite your fingernails, you're going to need a pick or a screwdriver or something else. Alright, once you replace that O-ring, all you're going to do is screw it back. Try to screw it down as far as you can by hand. Once you get it down, take your crescent wrench or your 5/8 socket, simply just put it over, and you want to get it hand tight. And then one hand tight plus one. Not super tight at all. Next, you want to make sure your slot here for your bigger O-ring's clean. Before you put your O-ring on, I like to get a little bit of lubricant. Lube. He said lube. To put a little bit of lubricant on this O-ring. It'll help ensure the life of the O-ring a little bit. Plus, the main thing is it just helps keep it in place when you put your valve back together. Alright, once you got your O-rings, either the internal one or the outer one, or both replaced in this case, you'll just come back to your valve, blow any debris that might have fallen into the chamber here, and since you've got your lube, your O-ring shouldn't fall off, and just simply screw it back in. Now when you go to tighten this thing up, you're going to want to get it tight, but you're not going to want to get it super tight because you may move the alignment of where the valve sits in the box, and it might change up where you hook it back up. So you want to get it tight, and right where it stops, you're good. Alright, all you guys got to do now, we're just going to put the valve back in. Again, we'll just do everything in reverse. You want to get your valve in place. You're going to want to slide it into the slotted area above, into the slot on the housing here at the base. Put your washer, always remember the washer, put your washer in the nut. You don't want to get it all the way tight yet. Get a little bit, leave a little bit of play in here, but you still got to hook up some stuff. And it's a lot easier to keep everything loose. You'll put your big nut back on over here, and this is actually it'll help hold it in place and position. And another reason why you're always going to want to make sure you've got these washers in place, because they're here for a reason. They're here to help keep this valve in a line for the opening, so it all stays in alignment, so when you put your handle on, you're not crooked. If you're crooked, it'll cause your handle to bend. Alright, once you get everything hand tight, you now want to come back to the air line that actually feeds to your tank fill. And this is the one, you want to get this one snug first. This is always the one that's hardest to get lined back up. If you ever do have trouble getting it lined back up, simply come over to the other side where it goes into the gauge and loosen it up, and it should help you get it tight here as well. Once you've made sure both are tight and secure, now you can come back to the nut on the outside here at the base on your inside and tighten this up real snug. Now once you've done that, you can come back in here to the top and you can tighten up your big nut. big nut. Get it good and snug. Now the last thing we want to do is just put our handle back. A lot of the handles have nuts here. This nut is basically where it's predetermined how far you want to screw this thing back into the valve itself. So if you did move the nut, you want to try to get it back in position, and then once you've screwed it back into the piston, simply tighten the nut against the piston and it will hold it in place. So real quick, we're going to feed this back through the rubber. Once you've gotten it fed back through, you now want to grab a little pair of vice grips. You can use, sometimes you can use pliers, but I'm telling you, a small pair of vice grips are the best. You want to grab the base of the handle where it goes into the piston. It goes into the valve. Lock that down. Now this enables you to screw in your handle. And again, some of the handles will be different, but they all go back in the same way. And you're simply going to want to screw it down. Pull your vice grips out. And if you need to, you're going to lower this nut down. And it's usually I think a 7/16. And you want to tighten that nut down at the base. Make sure everything's tight with your hands. Now you're done. You're able to put your whip back on. Be a 5/16, or excuse me, 5/8. Now you're ready to, of course, hook your air back up and test it a few times and make sure that you have corrected your leak and you're ready to go.